Today, we dive deep into the mysterious world of the Chinese Zodiac and its potential influence on one of the most infamous events in our history, the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. So, buckle up as we explore the transition from the Water Rabbit Year to the Wood Dragon Year and how that shift in energy might have played a role in the tragic events of November 22nd, 1963, and how those same energies are playing out today. Let's first of all understand the basics of the Chinese Zodiac. The zodiac consists of 12 animals, each one associated with specific traits and qualities. The years are also associated and linked with one of the five elements, and the full cycle repeats every 60 years. So 1963 was equivalent to 2023. And just like in 63, 2023 is a water rabbit year heading into a wood dragon year, and that is significant. Now, let's break down the water rabbit year into two component parts so you can understand the events at the end of 1963 and the parallels today. Now, water energy is about duality, two things existing at once. In water years, we feel the consequences of our previous actions and the potential for something new. It's about associated with the emotion fear. Are we safe? Can we survive? Water is about death and rebirth. The rabbit, on the other hand, is about diplomacy, negotiation, and a swift change of direction. Shock happens in water rabbit years, big shocks, big surprises, and plot twists. In 1963, President Kennedy, a charismatic leader, was navigating through a complex political landscape, which is typical of a water rabbit year. In water rabbit years, events can become dangerous very, very quickly, and there's always the potential for an unseen plot twist. So, by the end of 1963, we'd had the Cuban Missile Crisis, and the world was still reeling from the tensions of the Cold War. Water rabbit years require political leaders with big picture thinking, diplomacy, and an ability to be politically sophisticated, subtle, and strong. And this is important, to be trusted. Luckily, in 1963, we had JFK as president of the United States, and a man absolutely ideal for handling the unpredictable nature of a water rabbit year. And why was that? Why was he ideal for that time? Well, that was because his dominant energy was water. He resonated with that time, and that gave him all the attributes to handle that year and be an inspiration for a nation moving forward. He was aligned with the energy of that time, and that's also why he would die. If you want to know what your dominant energies are, then I'll include a link above or below this video for the vitality test. It's completely free. It'll tell you your strengths and your weaknesses and the balance you have of these five energies. Now, let's look at the Wood Dragon year of 1964 and how that adds to the likelihood that President Kennedy was going to be assassinated towards the end of 1963. To do that, let's break the Wood Dragon down into two component parts, starting with the wood energy. What's that about? Well, wood energy is associated with spring and the new. Revolution is in the air and injustices need to be dealt with. Wood energy is also about stubbornness and fixed opinions, and there can be a fear of losing control. But what about dragons? Well, dragons are outliers in the Chinese zodiac. They're not of this earth. And as such, they're considered to be divine messengers, carrying messages from other worlds to the earth for us to listen to and take note of. So what messages do dragons carry? Well, that depends on the energy they're associated with. In wood dragon years, you get wood energy messages. Messages of revolution, when we're told in no uncertain terms that things need to change and we need to evolve and break free from past systems and structure. It's a battle between the old and the new. In 1783, we had American independence from the oppressive British rule. And what's important about 1783? Well, it was a water rabbit year and it was heading into a wood dragon year. It's the same now and it's the same as 1963. These are significant times, my friends. So in 1963, we had a young, vibrant American president who stood for modernity and wasn't afraid to take on the system, and a younger brother by his side who was challenging the secret societies and the power systems of the state. And this is where we come to the crux of the matter. If President Kennedy lived, the old systems would die. And if he was taken out of the picture, the status quo would remain. And that's why he died. And we had the ultimate plot twist. The energies were demanding change, and those in power couldn't let it happen. And that's the same with Robert Kennedy, Dr. Martin Luther King, and all the other greats who had a dream of a better world. All of them were taken out of the picture. But I want to tell you a secret based on the energies. Although it would seem as the 1960s ended, the messages of the wood dragon would fade away for another 60 years. But let me tell you, that's not how it works. Because wood energy is also associated with seeds and germination. It's an unstoppable force that, once activated, keeps going and growing. In the 1960s, they planted the seeds of what we have now: personal development movement, spiritual awakening, mind-opening experimentation with meditation and plant medicines. They were all seeded in the 1960s. The 1960s planted the ideas of individuality and community, two things existing at the same time: the quantum field. The recognition that indigenous people and their ancient medicines had something to teach us. There was a willingness to take on big pharma and to explore alternative options for better health and well-being. And a seed of an idea was planted that we only have one planet and we better treat it with more respect. So we had organic farming. We had people growing their own food in communities, all based around common goals and values, a desire for local and wholesome communities, and rejection of the large, faceless governments in the pockets of uncaring industrial complexes. And at the same time as this push towards humanity, we would also strive to become intergalactic beings. We went to the moon. In the 1960s, the seeds were planted for peace and love and the rejection of the war machine, and a call to limit the power of the arms industry and its mechanisms of control. The 1960s taught us to be rebels, to be mavericks, to be pioneers. The seeds that were planted in the 1960s are growing now, my friend. They are growing now. And there's more. The question of responsibility, not who killed President Kennedy, because that's being revealed, but what responsibility are we going to take in a world without leaders? As I'm recording this, there is an absence of world leaders of note. Only a failing group of the old guard in the pockets of those pulling the strings. There is nobody here to rescue us. Just like when President Kennedy was killed, it's up to you, it's up to me to be the change. To recognize that we are not powerless, we can unite and be individuals. We can create a better world. So here we are with a second chance for a wood dragon year to finish what they tried to do in the 60s that was taken down. If you're lucky enough to be given the option to vote, look very carefully to see who funds their campaign to get your vote. Nothing is free, my friend. They are owned. And choose leaders that call for unity, not those that get our vote by separating us around our differences or making someone or something wrong. The next video, I hope you understand why I'm saying that. It's about our spiritual evolution. It's the secret of this time. Thank you very much for watching. My name is Nicholas Haines from 5 Institute. Please like and share. This is important, very important.